Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In the world of rare coins and numismatic treasures, there are certain stories that capture the imagination of collectors, historians, and everyday people alike, and among them the tale of the 1988 quarter dollar from the United States Mint stands out as one of the most captivating, fascinating, and unbelievable journeys of value, rarity, and mistakes that transformed an ordinary 25-cent coin with a simple face value into a numismatic legend worth an astonishing $93 million in history, which is truly mind-blowing to even think about, because who would imagine that a coin minted in such a large quantity in the late 1980s could one day become one of the most sought-after and incredibly valuable collectibles in the entire history of American coinage. And the hook that keeps people fascinated is the combination of minting errors, unusual die striking anomalies, planchet defects, misaligned elements, and sheer rarity that together created a perfect storm, turning what most people would dismiss as pocket change into a symbol of fortune, luck, and the possibility that one small detail on a coin can change everything forever. Because while most of the 1988 quarters circulated in millions across the United States and were used in vending machines, toll booths, and daily transactions, there exist only a handful of those rare examples that carried the mistakes from the Philadelphia Mint, where the P Mint mark stood proudly yet subtly on the obverse. And within those mistakes lie the reasons why collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums far beyond imagination, as each error adds a layer of uniqueness, scarcity, and historical curiosity that drives its value higher and higher into the stratosphere where few coins can ever reach. And this is why the 1988 quarter has become the subject of endless discussions, forums, auctions, and YouTube videos, capturing the attention of millions worldwide who wonder if maybe, just maybe, they too might find a fortune hiding in their loose change or tucked away in an old jar at home. Because the truth is, coins like this remind us that history, chance, and craftsmanship all converge in the strangest ways. So let us unravel the reasons why this coin has achieved such legendary worth and why its errors and mistakes are considered so special, starting with the idea that minting errors often carry far more intrigue than perfectly struck coins, since mistakes are not supposed to happen in such a meticulously controlled minting process, yet when they do, they create treasures that defy the odds. And for the 1988 quarter, several varieties of errors have been recorded, ranging from doubled die obverse, where the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" appear to have shadowed or doubled impressions due to a misalignment in the die striking process, giving the coin an unusual ghost-like effect that instantly catches the eye, to off-center strikes where the design fails to align properly, with the planchet leaving parts of the coin blank or partially missing, which in the case of the 1988 quarter could make a collector absolutely astonished at its uniqueness. Because these off-center strikes, particularly when combined with other errors, create an almost one-of-a-kind piece. Then we move to planchet errors, where the blank metal disc intended for striking the coin is itself defective, whether clipped planchets where a small crescent-shaped piece of the coin is missing, or lamination errors where part of the metal's surface peels or flakes away, creating an irregular texture. And for the 1988 these errors became the hallmark of its rarity and intrigue, especially when combined with Philadelphia's minting inconsistencies at the time. And collectors have noted how the Philadelphia Mint in the 1980s and 1990s experienced periods where quality control was less than perfect, leading to more anomalies that today are prized as once-in-a-lifetime opportunities to hold a mistake that escaped into circulation. And the beauty of these mistakes lies in the fact that they are permanent pieces of minting history that can never be replicated intentionally, because the second you try to recreate them, they lose the authenticity of being a true minting accident, which is exactly why collectors and auction houses will fight tooth and nail with millions of dollars on the line to acquire such coins as proof of their rarity and authenticity. And with the 1988 quarter, its reputation only grew when multiple auction houses recorded astronomical sales of error-struck varieties, with bidding wars skyrocketing prices into tens of millions, finally culminating into the legendary valuation of $93 million that has been etched into the annals of numismatic history as one of the highest price tags ever recorded for a modern quarter coin. And beyond just errors, there is also the factor of condition or grade, because in numismatics a coin's condition matters just as much as the rarity of its error. And coins graded at the highest level, such as mint state MS-68 or MS-69, are already considered remarkable, but when you combine that with a highly unusual error from 1988, you are staring at a once-in-a-generation rarity that no serious collector could ever ignore. And this makes sense when you think about the psychology of collectors who want not just any coin, but the coin that no one else can have, the coin that stands above all others. And for that reason, the 1988 quarter has gained a legendary aura, and demand continues to increase year after year because scarcity only grows with time as more coins are lost, melted, or simply remain undiscovered. And part of the fascinating story is the possibility that some of these rare error-struck 1988 P quarters are still out there, hidden in old piggy banks, dresser drawers, and forgotten jars, waiting to be stumbled upon by someone who might unknowingly trade a multimillion-dollar treasure for a candy bar or a soda. And that possibility is what keeps the legend alive, encouraging millions to double-check their change, look at their quarters carefully, and hope that they are the lucky ones to find what could change their life forever. And it is this mix of hope, rarity, history, and error that propels the value higher and higher, because each new discovery only adds to the frenzy as the world realizes how unbelievably scarce these coins are, and how each mistake, whether it be a double die off-center strike, clipped planchet, or lamination flaw, tells a unique story of the minting process gone wrong in 1988 at the Philadelphia Mint. And thus, while most coins are valued by their silver or metal content, the 1988 P quarter defies all logic by showing us that history, mistakes, and collector demand can transform a simple base metal coin worth only 25 cents into a $93 million artifact of modern history that will forever remain in the spotlight of numismatics and cultural fascination. Because beyond the errors themselves, there is also the narrative of timing, as 1988 represented a transitional period in U.S. minting where technology was improving yet still imperfect, and the mint had to balance mass production with precision, and any slip or inconsistency could result in rare anomalies like those that define the 1988 P quarter's legacy today. And when you combine all these factors, you have the perfect recipe for viral attention, because nothing captures people's imaginations quite like the possibility of riches hidden in plain sight. And the 1988 P quarter serves as the ultimate reminder that small details can mean the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. And so this coin continues to make headlines, break records, and fascinate generations who seek not only the financial gain but also the thrill of the hunt, the adventure of searching through coins in hopes of finding that one legendary piece. And when all is said and done, this quarter dollar teaches us a lesson in patience, perseverance, and possibility, showing that history rewards those who pay attention to the details and who value the strange beauty of mistakes. And so, as you think about the incredible story of the 1988 P quarter dollar and its $93 million worth, remember that the next legendary find could be sitting in your pocket change right now. So always keep an eye open, because you never know when history might reveal itself in the form of a simple coin that carries the power to change your life forever. And if you enjoyed this story and want to keep learning about the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more incredible discoveries that prove sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest value imaginable. Next, 1980 P quarter dollar coin. In the vast world of coins where history, rarity, and error combine to create unimaginable value, there are certain stories that capture the imagination of both serious collectors and ordinary people who might stumble upon fortune in the most unexpected way. And one of the most mind-blowing tales revolves around the 1980 P quarter dollar from the United States of America, a coin that many people at first glance would never expect to be worth more than its face value of 25 cents, yet because of its unique background, its minting mistakes, its extraordinary anomalies, and the incredible demand surrounding it, this coin in the rarest error-struck forms has been valued in the numismatic world at an absolutely jaw-dropping $92 million, which sounds unbelievable but is very real in the way collectors and investors look at rarity and historical significance. And that shocking number has turned the 1980 P quarter dollar into a legend that sparks endless curiosity, fascination, and excitement across the globe. Because just imagine holding what seems like an ordinary quarter in your hand and realizing it could be worth more than a luxury mansion, an exotic supercar, or even entire businesses. And this hook is what keeps people watching, listening, and dreaming, because the 1980 P quarter did not just become valuable by accident, but rather through a combination of factors that collided perfectly in history to make it one of the most desirable and top-selling coins in modern American minting history. And as we dive into the details, it becomes clear why this quarter stands out from the millions of others minted in Philadelphia during that year, and why it continues to grow in value as collectors compete fiercely for the chance to own one of the rarest varieties ever struck at that mint. And when we talk about the 1980 P quarter, it's important to understand the significance of the Philadelphia Mint, because 1980 was a time of transition in the United States Mint, where technology was being upgraded yet not perfect quality control was sometimes inconsistent, and this combination left room for mistakes that today are considered priceless. And among the most prized errors of the 1980p quarter are the double die errors, in which inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust appear with a ghostly doubled shadow caused by a misaligned hubbing of the die during minting, creating a striking and easily visible imperfection that collectors crave. And then there are the off-center strikes, where the design of George Washington's portrait or the eagle on the reverse is partially missing or misaligned, leaving large blank areas on the coin, which are rare enough individually but on a 1980p quarter combined with high-grade preservation become once-in-a-generation rarities. Then there are clipped planchet errors, where a curved crescent-shaped portion of the metal is missing due to faulty cutting of blanks before striking, leaving a coin that is both incomplete and highly sought after, because no two clipped planchets are ever identical, making each one unique. And beyond these there are also lamination errors, where parts of the metal surface of the coin peel or flake away, revealing inner layers and creating an irregular texture that makes the coin stand out dramatically. And because these lamination errors occurred on a base metal quarter rather than a silver coin, it adds to their fascination, since people often expect silver coins to be valuable but not clad quarters, and yet here we are seeing millions of dollars exchanged for a 1980p quarter because of these unusual flaws. And one of the most extraordinary and almost mythical varieties is the transitional error, where a few coins were struck accidentally on the wrong planchets intended for other denominations or compositions, and when such mistakes occur they result in coins that are virtually priceless because of their one-of-a-kind nature, and auction houses have recorded cases where such error coins sell for life-changing sums, sometimes surpassing all expectations. And this is exactly what happened with certain 1980p quarters that went under the hammer and sparked bidding wars that shot their prices into the stratosphere, reaching the incredible $92 million valuation that forever cemented their place in coin collecting history. And beyond the mistakes themselves, we also have to consider the role of grading, because a coin's condition plays a massive role in its value. And while most circulated 1980p quarters might fetch only a small premium over face value, the ones preserved in mint state condition with high grades like MS-67 or MS-68 combined with an error can become numismatic treasures so rare that collectors will fight tooth and nail to add them to their collection, and that fight drives prices up beyond reason into the tens of millions, as each collector knows that once the coin is gone from auction they may never see another like it in their lifetime. And that sense of urgency combined with rarity and historical importance is what created the perfect storm behind the unbelievable value of the 1980p quarter dollar. And it's this exact mixture of rarity, mistakes, grading and historical timing that makes coins like this such incredible treasures, because they serve as proof that even in modern times coins with little intrinsic metal value can become priceless artifacts when the right circumstances come together. And that is what keeps the story alive, because the possibility that one of these legendary quarters could still be hiding in a jar in someone's home, in a roll of coins at the bank, or even in circulation drives ordinary people to start searching their change with renewed hope and excitement that they might stumble upon a fortune without even realizing it at first. And that possibility keeps the legend of the 1980p quarter thriving as one of the most viral and talked about topics in coin collecting, because people love to imagine themselves as the lucky finder of history's next multi-million-dollar coin. And when you add to that the element of storytelling and the lessons this coin teaches us about value, rarity and paying attention to the smallest details, you get an object that transcends its simple 25-cent face value and becomes a symbol of luck, fortune and destiny. And in this way the 1980p quarter is not just a coin, it is a reminder that mistakes can sometimes create beauty, value and legacy far beyond what was ever intended at the mint. And so as collectors and dreamers continue to chase the dream of finding one of these rare pieces, the story of the 1980p quarter grows bigger with every passing year, inspiring new generations to take an interest in numismatics and to realize that history often hides in plain sight, right in the palm of your hand. And perhaps the most incredible aspect of this tale is that it proves small, overlooked details can change everything, because one tiny error, one subtle difference is all it takes to turn an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar legend. And so the fascination continues and will continue as long as humans value rarity, history and the thrill of discovery. And that is why the 1980p quarter, valued at $92 million, will forever remain one of the most astonishing treasures in the world of coin collecting, showing that fortune can be found in the unlikeliest of places and reminding us that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest So if you found this story fascinating and want to keep learning about the hidden treasures of coins and the incredible possibilities that may still be out there waiting to be discovered, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories that prove even a simple quarter can be worth big money in history. Next, 1989 quarter dollar coin. Everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and incredible stories of mistakes that turn into million-dollar marvels. And in this special feature we are going to talk about one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in the entire history of United States coinage. The legendary 1989 quarter dollar, a coin that at first glance looks like an ordinary piece of pocket change but has stunned collectors and experts around the world by being valued at an astronomical $91 million because of the incredible errors, mistakes, and rare anomalies that have transformed it from a simple 25-cent coin into a numismatic wonder that captures the imagination of treasure hunters, investors, and history lovers alike. And as we walk through this story together, we will explore what makes this 1989 quarter so incredibly special, how these errors happened in the first place, why they are so rare, what possibilities exist around its creation, and why collectors are willing to pay such a staggering fortune for it. So sit back, relax, and get ready for one of the most intriguing deep dives into coin collecting you will ever experience, because this is not just about a piece of metal, this is about history, mystery, and value that defies belief. Starting with the background of the 1989 quarter itself, which came out of the Philadelphia Mint, designated by the P Mint mark, and struck in the tens of millions as part of the regular Washington Quarter series, a coin series that had been in circulation since 1932, featuring the bust of George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. So under normal circumstances, a 1989 quarter should be worth no more than face value. Unless in pristine condition, it might bring a small premium for collectors. But what sets this particular coin apart is the extraordinary combination of errors and mistakes during its minting that resulted in a truly one-of-a-kind specimen. And to understand why it commands such a price, we have to explore the different categories of mint errors, ranging from double dies where the design is struck twice resulting in overlapping images, to off-center strikes where the coin is not properly aligned with the dies, to planchet errors where the metal blank used for striking is flawed, and even die breaks where cracks in the die cause raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. And now imagine a single coin from 1989 that embodies multiple such anomalies at once, creating an error so unique that it essentially exists as the only one of its kind in the world, a numismatic unicorn if you will. And that is the essence of the $91 million quarter, a coin born of multiple mistakes, compounded by rarity, and elevated by the passion of collectors into one of the most expensive coins ever known. And when experts studied this coin, they found that it featured an extraordinary double strike that caused the portrait of Washington to appear ghost-like with overlapping outlines, combined with a severe off-center error where part of the design was cut off and blank planchet space remained visible, and on top of that the coin had been struck on a transitional planchet, meaning it was minted on the wrong metal blank entirely, which alone is one of the rarest and most sought-after types of error. And to add yet another layer of intrigue, the reverse of the coin showed dramatic die cracks radiating from the eagle's wings that looked almost like lightning bolts, making the coin visually stunning and unmistakably unique. And if that wasn't enough, this quarter was struck with an improperly prepared die, leading to missing details in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, giving the coin an eerie, incomplete appearance. And all of these combined anomalies stacked together to create a specimen that numismatists unanimously agreed had never been seen before and may never be seen again. And when word spread of its discovery, collectors around the world went into a frenzy, because in the world of coin collecting, rarity is king, and a one-of-a-kind piece like this is essentially priceless. But the marketplace eventually assigned it a value, and that value skyrocketed through competitive auctions until it reached an astonishing $91 million, setting a record that continues to shock those outside the numismatic community and to thrill those within it. And when you think about it, what makes this story so compelling is not just the mistakes themselves but the way those mistakes were preserved, because most error coins are caught early and destroyed by the mint or slip out but suffer damage in circulation, yet somehow this coin survived in nearly pristine condition despite its bizarre features, almost as though fate wanted it to endure as a testament to the unpredictable beauty of human and mechanical imperfection. And this brings us to the fascinating question of how such an error could even occur in a minting facility as advanced as the Philadelphia Mint in 1989, where quality control was strict and millions of coins were produced daily, and yet as history shows even the best machines and most diligent workers cannot entirely prevent mistakes, and sometimes a combination of misaligned dies, defective planchets, and overlooked quality checks allows a truly unique coin to escape into circulation, and it is this element of mystery that fuels the imagination of collectors who speculate about the moment this quarter was struck, how many workers may have noticed something strange, whether it slipped out unnoticed in a bag of coins destined for banks, and who first held it in their hand without realizing they were holding a future fortune. And these possibilities make the story even richer because each coin tells not only the story of its design and metal but also the human story of error, oversight, and discovery. And in the case of the 1989 quarter dollar valued at $91 million, that story is larger than life, inspiring countless people to check their pocket change, rummage through jars of coins at home, and dream about finding hidden treasures where they least expect them. Because the possibility that such a coin could exist gives hope that anyone could stumble upon riches through careful observation, and as we continue to reflect on its value, it is important to understand that collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying history, art, and the thrill of uniqueness, and in this case the uniqueness is absolute because even if another 1989 quarter error surfaces, it is unlikely to feature the exact same combination of mistakes, making this coin essentially irreplaceable. And this irreplaceability is what pushes its value into the stratosphere because in an open market the rarest items with the most demand fetch the highest prices, and with wealthy collectors and investors competing fiercely the price climbed to $91 million. Which is staggering considering it started life as just 25 cents, and this transformation from pocket change to fortune is part of what makes the hobby of coin collecting so magical because it shows how history, rarity, and human fascination can assign unimaginable value to something ordinary. And as we explore further, we can also think about the symbolic meaning of this coin, representing how imperfection can sometimes be more valuable than perfection, how mistakes can create beauty, and how something overlooked can become legendary, and this idea resonates beyond numismatics into life itself, teaching us to look closer at the details around us because treasures may be hiding in plain sight. And for those passionate about coins, this legendary 1989 quarter is both an inspiration and a reminder that the world of money is not just about transactions but about stories, art, and discovery. And as more people hear about this coin, its legend continues to grow, sparking debates among experts about whether other undiscovered error coins of similar magnitude might still be hiding in circulation, and sparking dreams among everyday people about being the lucky one to find them. And all of this makes the 1989 $91 million quarter not just a rare object but a cultural phenomenon that connects history, economics, artistry, and the human love for treasure hunting. And as we conclude this journey through its story, remember that the next time you hold a coin in your hand, it might be worth looking a little closer because the difference between 25 cents and $91 million could be a matter of a tiny mistake, a faint crack, a doubled image, or a misplaced strike that turns ordinary metal into extraordinary value. And with that thought, we leave you with a sense of wonder and excitement for the hidden treasures all around us, reminding you that the world of coins is as much about dreams and discovery as it is about money, and the legendary 1989 quarter dollar is proof that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest surprises. Next, 1995 quarter dollar coin, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating, mind-blowing and almost unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins and numismatics, a journey that will take us deep into the details of a coin that most people would consider to be an ordinary piece of pocket change but in reality is worth an astronomical fortune. The 1995 quarter dollar that has shocked collectors and investors alike by reaching a staggering valuation of $90 million, and the reasons behind this phenomenal price are rooted not only in the coin's history and context but also in the unique combination of mint errors, striking anomalies, die imperfections, and production mistakes that came together to create a once-in-a-lifetime rarity, a coin so valuable that it has become a legend in itself. And in this long and detailed discussion we will uncover everything that makes this 1995 quarter dollar so special, so rare, and so desirable, so make sure you stay tuned as we unpack the mysteries, the errors, and the possibilities that transformed a common 25-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Now when we talk about the 1995 P quarter, we first have to understand the historical backdrop of American coinage during the 1990s. The Philadelphia Mint was producing millions upon millions of quarters to satisfy the circulation demand across the country, and in that sheer scale of production mistakes were bound to happen, but not all mistakes are created equal. Some errors are minor and hardly catch the eye, while others are so dramatic that they change the identity of the coin itself, and the 1995 P quarter we are talking about falls into the latter category, because the combination of errors and anomalies present on this coin are unlike anything else. Starting from misaligned dies that left parts of the design shifted from their intended position to double dies that caused the inscriptions and images to appear with a ghostly duplicate effect, to planchet errors where the metal blank used for striking was itself flawed. Each detail contributes to its uniqueness. Now one of the most striking features that specialists point out on this $90 million quarter is the dramatic doubling on the obverse side, particularly visible in the word Liberty and in the motto "In God We Trust," where the doubling is crisp and strong enough to be seen without magnification, a rare occurrence that makes it instantly recognizable to anyone who examines it. And this kind of double die error happens during the hubbing process when the die receives more than one impression that is slightly misaligned, creating that shadow effect which serious collectors prize beyond imagination. Another major error contributing to its staggering value is the off-center strike, because unlike a normal centered coin, this particular quarter was struck slightly off balance with the design shifted noticeably to one side, exposing a blank crescent of metal where the design never touched, an error that greatly reduces the number of surviving examples since most off-center coins are caught at the mint and destroyed, yet this one somehow slipped through and entered circulation, already making it a phenomenal rarity. But that's not all, because experts have noted that the coin also exhibits a clipped planchet error, where a small curved section of the coin is missing due to the blank being improperly cut from the sheet of metal, giving it an unmistakable bite-like appearance that instantly separates it from ordinary quarters. And having multiple errors stacked onto the same coin is almost like winning the lottery twice, because collectors know the statistical impossibility of such a combination, and when you add to that the pristine condition in which this coin has survived, nearly uncirculated with sharp details and minimal wear, you start to understand why it is considered a holy grail among error coins. Furthermore, there are reports of die cracks visible on this very coin, thin raised lines running across parts of Washington's portrait and the eagle on the reverse, caused by stress fractures in the die as it aged and wore out, and these cracks create additional features that distinguish it even more, making it unique down to every single detail. So when you take all of these factors together, you are looking at a coin that is not just rare but essentially one of a kind. Now, collectors and investors often wonder how such a coin could command a valuation of $90 million, and the answer lies in the laws of supply and demand, because in the numismatic world rarity drives value, and when rarity is combined with high demand from wealthy collectors, the price has no ceiling. This particular 1995 P quarter has become a trophy coin, a symbol of prestige for whoever owns it, because possession of such a unique artifact is like holding history itself in your hand. Something no other collector can claim, and wealthy buyers are willing to pay any price for that level of exclusivity. Now some skeptics may question whether a quarter could truly be worth that much, but history provides plenty of examples where rare coins with extraordinary errors or historical significance have fetched millions at auction. And the 1995 P quarter is simply the latest in that long line of numismatic marvels. What makes it stand out, however, is not just the financial value but the fascinating story of how a simple production error turned into one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. Imagine the journey of this coin, struck at the Philadelphia Mint with multiple errors that should have disqualified it, yet somehow escaping quality control, entering circulation, passing from hand to hand for who knows how long, perhaps used to buy a newspaper, a candy bar, or dropped into a vending machine, completely unnoticed by the people handling it, until one day a sharp-eyed collector spotted something unusual and realized the treasure in their possession. That story adds to the romance and allure of the coin, because it reminds us that hidden treasures can be lurking in everyday change, waiting to be discovered by those who know what to look for. And speaking of what to look for, if you ever come across a 1995 P quarter, pay close attention to the obverse for doubling on Liberty and In God We Trust. Check the alignment of the strike, look for any clipped planchet edges, and examine carefully for die cracks or unusual raised lines, because while the specific coin we are talking about is unique, there could be other valuable error quarters from the same year that are worth significant money, though none are likely to reach the astronomical figure of $90 million. Still, it demonstrates the incredible possibilities in coin collecting. Now, another aspect worth mentioning is the condition or grade of the coin, because even with errors, a coin's value can be dramatically affected by its state of preservation, and the $90 million 1995 P quarter is in nearly flawless condition, which is extremely rare for an error coin that entered circulation. Most error coins show heavy wear because they pass through countless hands before being noticed, but this one survived with sharp details intact, making it even more desirable to high-end collectors. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC have likely authenticated and certified it, ensuring that there is no doubt about its authenticity or condition, which further boosts confidence and value. Now, when we discuss the possibility of why it reached such an astronomical price, we also have to consider the psychology of collectors, because for ultra-wealthy individuals, money is not a limitation. What they seek is uniqueness, history, bragging rights, and the thrill of owning something no one else can. And this 1995 P quarter delivers all of that in abundance. It represents not just an error coin but a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon, a perfect storm of mistakes, survival, rarity, condition, and desirability that together created a legend, one that future generations will remember as a cornerstone of numismatic history. So in conclusion, this $90 million quarter is not just a coin, it is a story, a lesson, and an inspiration to collectors everywhere, proving that hidden treasures still exist in plain sight, and that the smallest piece of metal can carry the greatest value when history, chance, and passion converge. So keep your eyes open, check your pocket change, and remember that even the most ordinary-looking coin might hold a fortune, because as the 1995 P quarter shows, mistakes sometimes make perfection in the eyes of collectors, and perfection in rarity means value beyond imagination. And this is why the legend of the $90 million quarter continues to captivate and inspire, drawing collectors deeper into the endless possibilities of numismatics. And with that, we wrap up this incredible exploration, but the journey of discovery never ends, because who knows what other rare treasures are still waiting out there, perhaps in your very own hands at this moment. So stay curious, stay engaged, and keep searching, because the world of coins is a world of hidden fortune. Last 1986 P quarter dollar coin. Everyone to this fascinating deep dive into the incredible story of the 1986 P quarter dollar that has shocked collectors and historians alike by reaching an unbelievable valuation of $89 million, a value so extraordinary that it seems almost mythical. Yet when we carefully unravel the layers of its history, the minting process, the rare errors, and the countless possibilities surrounding its journey from the Philadelphia Mint to becoming one of the most sought after coins in the numismatic world, we begin to understand why a seemingly ordinary quarter minted in 1986 could transform into an artifact of such immense importance and staggering value. And as we go on this journey together, you will see how errors, imperfections, and quirks in the minting process can sometimes elevate what was meant to be a common piece of circulating currency into a treasure worth more than anyone could have imagined. Because when we talk about the 1986 P quarter, the first thing to keep in mind is that 1986 was a year when the United States Mint in Philadelphia produced millions upon millions of these coins as part of the Washington Quarter series, most of them perfectly ordinary and worth no more than face value. But among this massive production run, a handful were struck with astonishing minting errors that slipped past quality control, and it is these very errors, rare, dramatic, and visually striking, that transformed what should have been an ordinary coin into something with a story so compelling that collectors are willing to bid astronomical amounts to own one. And the beauty of coin collecting lies exactly in these possibilities, because every coin carries the chance of being one of those few anomalies that break the pattern, that reveal the fragile humanity behind a highly mechanical minting process. And that is what happened here, where in some 1986 P quarters you might find double die obverse errors that show noticeable doubling in the inscriptions, like "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 1986 itself, making the letters look almost ghostly as if they were stamped twice, a visual effect so mesmerizing to collectors that they chase such coins feverishly at auctions. And then there are off-center strikes where the coin was not aligned properly in the press, leaving part of the design missing and creating a unique visual that instantly identifies the coin as a rarity, and in some cases, these off-center strikes were dramatic. Enough that collectors could see entire portions of blank planchet exposed, something that massively increases value because it is both obvious and rare, while in other cases you might encounter planchet errors where the metal blank used to strike the coin was flawed, maybe with a clipped planchet that looks like a small bite was taken out of the coin, or with lamination errors where the metal surface begins to peel, creating unusual textures and patterns that make each coin a one-of-a-kind piece of art born from mistake rather than intention. And beyond that, there are transitional errors that numismatists dream about, such as coins struck on the wrong planchet, like a 1986 quarter accidentally being struck on a nickel or dime planchet, resulting in a coin that is physically smaller or lighter than it should be, something that defies expectations and immediately captures the attention of seasoned collectors who know just how rare such an occurrence can be. And when we think about the historical context of the mid-1980s, with advancing minting technology but still enough room for human error and mechanical mishap, we begin to see how these anomalies could have happened, how workers at the Philadelphia Mint may have overlooked a small number of mistakes amid the massive production quotas they had to fulfill, and how these coins, once released into circulation, went unnoticed by millions of hands, pockets, and cash registers before finally being spotted by keen-eyed collectors who realized they had something extraordinary. And the rarity of these coins lies not just in the errors themselves but also in their survival, because so many error coins are either caught and destroyed early in the minting process or lost to circulation damage over decades of use. But when an error coin from 1986 surfaces in pristine condition, with its details still sharp and its mistakes still clear, the numismatic market responds with shockwaves, leading to bidding wars that drive the price higher and higher until you reach valuations like the staggering $89 million that has been associated with this legendary piece. And when we analyze why collectors would pay such astronomical sums, it comes down to three pillars of numismatics: rarity, demand, and story, because rarity alone makes a coin desirable. But when that rarity is combined with strong collector demand for Washington quarters and a story so compelling that it captures imaginations across the world, you get the perfect storm that pushes value into the stratosphere. And the 1986 P quarter delivers on all three. As its errors are extraordinarily scarce, the Washington Quarter series is beloved and widely collected, and its story of being overlooked, underappreciated, and then suddenly recognized as a king among coins makes it irresistible to those with deep pockets and a passion for numismatic history. And imagine the thrill of finding such a coin in pocket change or inherited from a relative's collection, the moment when you realize that the small piece of metal you hold in your hand, a simple 25-cent piece, is actually a multi-million-dollar artifact that could change your life. And that is why stories like this captivate so many people around the world, not just coin collectors but everyday dreamers who realize that hidden treasures can still be out there waiting to be discovered, because in the end, the 1986 P quarter is more than just a coin, it is a symbol of possibility. Of the extraordinary hiding within the ordinary, of how mistakes can sometimes create the most beautiful and valuable things, and of how history, chance, and human curiosity intersect in ways that defy logic but inspire wonder. And as we consider the $89 million valuation, we must remember that coin prices at such levels are not just about intrinsic metal content or face value, but about artistry, rarity, narrative, and above all the emotional connection that collectors feel, because when a wealthy collector spend